sun, gonna walk the moon.
Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, wherever you are across the country and around the world. Welcome to Listen, Think, Act, Chat with GLI. My name is the very right Reverend Brother Pastor Deacon Dr. Professor Lord Captain Ward, and it is my great privilege and pleasure to have with us in the virtual studio today, all the way from scenic Denver, Colorado, none other than everybody's favorite guitar-toting Wookiee, Mr. Robert Drabkin, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing today, Rob?
I've never had an introduction like that. That was amazing.
I live to serve, and it is, as I say, a true honor to have you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today, and all the people across East Africa and the United States, and now your growing fan base in Turkey, I know are going to be watching this. We want to take advantage of this opportunity to find out a little bit more about the man behind the enormous hair and the man who gave rise to all your exceptional lyrics in a multitude of languages, and to find out a little bit about your philosophical underpinnings of getting involved with the Global Livingston Institute. Are you ready?
Yeah. As ready as I can be.
So I have had the unique distinction of seeing you on stage in Colorado, seeing you on stage in Rwanda, seeing you on stage in Uganda, and getting all kinds of live video feeds from you when you were running around Asia Minor. Tell us a little bit, how did you get involved with the GLI and the I Know concert series in the first place?
Ooh. I have to thank Miss Becky Morris. Yes, Becky Morris, the legend, the woman, the myth, the legend. She and I have been friends for a very long time, with just through working in the music industry. I make my living through live shows, and her husband's in the live music business. And we met probably 15 years ago at my first ever open mic, actually. Yeah, fascinating beginning. But yeah, and a few times a year, Becky and I go get breakfast and just catch up. And about 2 years ago, she was telling me about this trip that she went on in Rwanda and Uganda. And she is such an authentic person, and she is such an honest person, and told me what an amazing trip it was. And she told me all about her experience. And she asked me at the end of breakfast if I'd be interested, and without a doubt, just yes. not even a second guess. There was just like, yes, of course I am interested in this opportunity. And it wasn't right then and there. She introduced me to Ryan Grundy, and then Ryan introduced me to Jamie Van Leeuwen. And then over the course of a few months, I had a bunch of phone chats with them. And then I had a big show at the Gothic Theater, and I invited the whole GLI crew out to come, see if you'd be a good fit for East Africa. And I got the green light to come with you guys. So that was, last year was my first time ever coming.
And just to clarify for those who might not know, Becky Morris is she is the co-chair of the I Know concert series across East Africa for the Global Livingston Institute. My fearless leader / sidekick / mentor. She is exactly as you just described, an incredibly authentic, daring, and adventurous person. And then Ryan Grundy is, of course, the executive director of GLI, and Jamie Van Leeuwen is the founder and CEO. You talked to all these people, you wrangled them, they wrangled you. Next thing you know, you are on stage in Rwanda. What was that like? Your first time there?
Culture shock. Shock.
Really?
It was, I guess I want to talk about performing in East Africa, because the first time has been very different than the last time I did. But yeah, it was a very steep learning curve, and a very quick one. You learn very quickly that this is not a performance that you would do in the United States. Like what I would usually do in the US probably would not work as well.
Like what specifically?
Well, I had to change so many things. So the first thing, you have to kind of understand that you're up there, you're playing your songs that people might know in the US, but no one knows in Rwanda or Uganda. And you are singing in a language, and probably speaking in a language that they don't understand very well, or that they might understand but not respond to right away, or just might not understand you, period. So taking all those ingredients and throwing you up on stage, you learn how to do it really quickly. yeah, so I think the biggest thing for me was learning to collaborate really quickly, not just with the other American musicians, but collaborating with the local musicians there. That was the biggest, that made the night and day difference for me.
And tell us a little bit about who you collaborated with from the beginning and that you continue to work with to this day.
Oh, well, you. Yeah, the collaborations were definitely grew and grew and grew. The first collaboration was with a Rwandan singer named Igor Mabano. And Becky originally sent me his music because the majority of the performers there, a lot of them are singing to their tracks, their backing tracks. But Igor caught Becky's eye because he was up there performing acoustic. He did a song with an acoustic guitar, and just a little bit more my style than some of the like other hip hop artists. And so I started listening to Igor's music back here in the U.S., and I decided that I should learn one of his songs. And he had just put out a song called Dear Mashuka Araje. And yeah, and I sat there, not knowing any Kenya Rwandan, which is the language of Rwanda. I sat there with headphones and just did a phonetic translation of what the chorus was, and decided I should send him a video. And so I sat just basically like this with my my little gringo phonetic translation, and I sang the chorus of his song called Araje. And I think within a day or so, he posted the video I sent him online, and it kind of went viral around Rwanda. His manager posted it. No less, one of the biggest performers posted it, and it was kind of this moment of like, for them, it was like, this song has reached the United States, and this is here's an American performing the song. And it's kind of a really cool moment, like before we'd even met in person. So I went down there already knowing one of Igor's songs. And
well, I have to stop you there because you've got people in Rwanda watching this and Americans who want to hear that song. Could you give us a verse?
Yeah, I brought my guitar, so I'll do the chorus there a lot. So okay, so it's Arajaraje Wanwa Mutima Mureke Tambuke Mutima Wakunze Arajaraje Nakundi Wapikenza Mureke Tambuke Mutima Wakunze Mureke Tambuke Mutima Wakunze.
Hey! Awesome.
Remember it.
When the gringo / Muzungu starts singing Kenya Rwanda and sharing it from his place in Denver, you know that something is right with the world, shining a little light of hope and happiness all over the planet in these very, very strange and often perilous times.
Absolutely.
So thanks for sharing that. But then, so you performed that. What was the response? It had already gone semi-viral in the cybersphere. What was it like when you got up on stage and did it in front of 10, 15,000 Rwandans?
unlike anything I've ever done. It was after my set. So I played, and then a bunch of other artists played. A lot of Rwandan artists played, and then Igor, one of the headliners, goes up there, and everyone knows his songs, and then he brings me up as a special guest to come do the song acoustic. And it was kind of a hold on for dear life moment. The roller coaster is about to go. You're getting ready to go to the chorus, and then it's just, you're like, I hope I sing the right words. And I did. And everyone just, this eruption of applause from singing the right words, singing the right chorus, and and just this really beautiful moment of collaboration with me and Igor was a moment I will forever cherish.
So you were hooked. I mean, before you even set foot in East Africa, you're already making a name for yourself. Now you've gone out and performed, and after your first trip, you decide you got to go back.
I did, without a question.
And so most recently, you just did a trio of shows in November and December, Musanze, Rubavu, and Kigali. Is that right?
February though, February, March.
I'm sorry. Yes, of course. February, March. Yeah, definitely not November, December. February. You know, in these weird times of pandemic, sometimes we forget what day it is. Sometimes we forget what year it is. Sometimes we forget to wear pants. But whether that's here or there or nowhere at all, what was it like having, you know, knowing the score at this point, going back, having had these relationships already established, and then performing, you know, a series?
um, I knew so much more. That was the first thing. This one was different though. There was I stepped up my language skills a lot. That was the big, and that made a just night and day difference. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that I wanted to do when I went back, the reason I kind of went back, was not just to repeat what I'd done before, but I wanted to grow on what I had done.
Mm.
And another collaboration that I was able to do was with a group of singers, with a choir. So we recorded a song called "You and Me" together, and we were able to shoot a music video with them, and that was probably the biggest reason I went back, was to make something that was really, you know, something that I can share more than just, you know, here's a quick clip of me performing and here's a beautiful picture of the crowd. I want music to share, to distribute, to get everything on Spotify, to Apple Music, to YouTube, and have just more evidence of kind of the amazing things that we did. So that was the biggest reason I went back. And then growing on what I had done, as I mentioned, learning so much more language was just such a difference. I mean, I was, you know, they kind of introduced me, and then I walk up solo acoustic with a guitar. And I remember last year we went up as more of an ensemble. But this year it's just like, here's Rob Drabkin. No one knows who Rob Drabkin is. And then there goes a Mzungo with a guitar, you know, and the whole crowd is like, who is this guy? Is he a tourist? Is he just here to go see gorillas? What's he doing on stage? And then to walk up to the microphone and just go, Moro! Which is hello in Kinyarwandan. All of a sudden, everyone in the crowd were just, yeah! This response was so just
energizing.
Yes, and yeah, and so, you know, to learn, hello, my name is Rob, I come from America, you know, repeat after me. I was able to engage the crowd so much more, and everyone was so much more accepting. And so, I mean, just on my personal sets, I mean, it was just a night and day difference from last year.
So I'm going to ask you in a minute to play the song. Unfortunately, due to social distancing requirements, we're unable to bring in the choir to back you up. But I know we'd really love to hear that one, or at least, you know, some verses of it. And then, but before you dive in, just as you're sort of psychologically preparing, I'm very curious. You know, I mean, like you've worked in the industry, you've done live performance for a while. You know, you started with little coffee shops and open mics, and now you're playing. You know, you're opening for Michael Franti, and you're playing at Red Rocks, and you're doing all kinds of interesting things. You know, with enormous crowds, and you know, your star is definitely rising rapidly, and it's been a pleasure to watch. What is the biggest thing that you would suggest to American singer-songwriters, you know, people starting out now or people currently in the industry, that they can learn from their counterparts in East Africa?
Ooh, what can musicians learn from East African musicians? That is a great question. I think one of the biggest things I noticed, I think, in just the differences between cultures, not just in the performances, but you kind of get a different definition of happiness. I think you find that that was one of the biggest things I noticed culturally, was you almost sense just a greater sense of joy from the people in East Africa. Just everything from noticing more smiles to just overall attitude being a little bit more positive. And I think I was trying to think about what really brings that about. And I think you kind of have a different value of what brings you joy. I think it's everything from you know, it's something as simple as the joy of music can bring such positivity, and yeah.
Rob, that is great because a lot of people in America have a very different impression. When you say East Africa, they tend to think very negative things that have been plastered all over traditional broadcast and current social media. Negativity, famine, war, drought, child soldiers, epidemics, things like that. When what you're describing, is sort of a transcendent social and cultural euphoria, which is just under the surface most of the time, as opposed to what some might say in the West, what's bubbling right under the surface here in America is not joy. Would you say that's true?
I think you articulated it very well. Yeah, but I think you also you kind of get, I mean, and everyone sort of says that music is this universal language, and I mean that's something you hear a lot, but you experience it there. You experience it in East Africa. You see that music does transcend these boundaries, these physical boundaries, but emotional boundaries, and boundaries between personalities and religions and beliefs. And you really sense that, and you kind of sense once you start playing in a room with musicians from East Africa, everyone's kind of boundaries just disappear, and it becomes this very beautiful moment where all of our differences just fade away, and we all do have this universal language of music. And I think that was something that I never experienced until this trip.
That is amazing. And now we want to experience the universal language with you.
through broadband internet. So I'll do a chorus of the song "You and Me" where the choir sings. I will do my best to sing their part also.
Maybe we can edit in some finger puppets afterwards to sing behind you.
You and me gonna rule the world, gonna stand up tall, say no more wars. You and me gonna change the world with our open arms. We'll open doors and stand by you. You stand by me. You and me, how you here with mama? You and me now. You and me, how you here with mama? You and me.
That is lovely. That is so lovely. Thank you so much. And when will we be able to see the video of you and the choir come out?
Probably May. So everything's ready to go. It's so soon.
Fantastic. Yeah. We, obviously GLI would love a sneak peek. And when the final comes out and you want to do the big broad blast, let us know and we'll share it to all of our social media platforms. Everybody who's watching this right now, mark your calendars. In the merry, merry month of May, you will be able to see a truly fantastic video. Now, Rob, as you lean back, of course, everybody is now in the habit of doing a little amateur sleuthing and detective work because we're doing all these Zooms and Skypes and Google Hangouts. So I get to look at your back wall. I get to look at all the art on it. And I can't help but notice the sign that says, wash your hands.
Wash your hands. It's very important. I've been doing all these live streams and these Skypes and these Zooms, and I was just like, well, I just gathered all the artwork in my apartment and put it all on this wall. And some exciting news. I don't know if you want to hear a song, but I'm gonna play a song that I wrote.
Yes.
Very, very telling of the times, but I wrote it for an interview that I did on Colorado Public Radio, and NPR is going to play it this week. So that's kind of exciting. I know. So,
well, you heard it here first, folks. Let's hear it. Go ahead, Rob.
Okay. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Please don't panic. Just use the Lysol spray. Don't touch your eyes. Don't pick your nose. Can I touch my butt? Man, I don't really know. If I go, I'm going to the grocery store today. If I stand, I'm standing 6 feet away. If I go, I'm going to the grocery store again. I see you stand back, I'll wave to you, my friend. Hi, Andrew.
Rob, thank you so, so much for sharing that. I mean, like, how often do we get in the space of just a couple minutes, Kenya Rwanda songs, original songs with upcoming videos, and now a sneak peek of something that's going to be on national public radio, and so timely and appropriate. So, my question was going to be, what is the Rob Drabkin doing during the pandemic? And I believe you just answered the question, but what else is going to pop up? I mean, who knows how long we're going to be in this weird Zoom cybersphere? What have you been taking this opportunity to do a lot of writing, connecting with people, new friends, old friends? What are you doing to keep your spirits up and to keep the creative juices flowing?
Ooh, man, I think it's my moods and my attitudes definitely have this roller coaster. This just,
Like everyone else.
just everyone else, you have to be very, very conscious of how much news you're taking in and when you're taking it in. And you know that the news is probably going to bum you out. So you need to kind of, have something in place after that. I can't just go to sleep reading the New York Times. I have to stop, hit Disney Plus, get in 5 minutes of Disney Plus, then I can sleep well. But no, all I've been doing is just sending positive songs, playing positive songs. I've been working on new songs, but it's just been, I feel like everyone, I feel like, just bringing a message of positivity has been most effective for other people. It's been most effective for me. It's lifted my spirits, and new music, putting out new music. I think that's just been my beacon of light, something to look forward to and something to bring to people every time.
That's fabulous. Thank you so, so much for doing the work that you do. Oftentimes, we're familiar with the term, thank you for your service, which we use for people in the uniformed military. But at this time of woe and want and fear, people are turning to our luminaries, people like you, our artists and our culture bearers, and saying thank you for your service. So please keep it up. Don't stop at all. Now, as you well know, the Global Livingston Institute's mantra is listen, think, act. How are you currently going by that mantra? How are you applying it in your life, and how can you advise other people to apply it?
Ooh, I love that question. First thing that jumps to mind when I first heard that slogan, that mantra, a mantra that I had, it actually reminded me of a mantra that I used really early on in my career. And that was the mantra of dream, plan, do.
That's great.
I saw listen, think, act, and I was like, I think that's actually pretty much in line and kind of in sync with what I was doing really early on. And early on in my career, I did this huge switch from studying science and pursuing science to just jumping into music, which was such a leap and full of so much uncertainty and just completely shifting my whole world and my personality around. And that was really a mantra that I really just stuck to, was, having a vision in mind and then, planning it and thinking about it and how you're going to do it. What are the steps to do it? And then you have to do it. You have to act, and you have to, follow your heart and follow your dreams and follow and make it happen.
That's marvelous. Well, I have listened to you, and I've thought about what you've done, and I see that whether you went into medicine or music, you would still be a person of service, spreading the medicine of joy wherever you go. And I'd love it if you could just, first of all, tell us where we can find you on the cybersphere. So what are your hashtags and ats and handles?
It's all the places. The name is Rob Drabkin, and I think if you go to Google and just type in Rob Dr, you will find a gentleman with poofy hair, and that is me. But it's on Instagram, it's on Spotify, it's on every social network out there. And I'm gonna play a song called "It's a Beautiful Day." That's okay with you. Rob Drabkin. This is called "It's a Beautiful Day." Early this morning, woke up up, holding my head, hearing my heartbeat all night long. A shade to this motel, keeping me in bed, reading the news, just trying to stay strong. I need you to just get up, you take a deep breath, keep it together, 'cause it's a beautiful day. Sun in my face, feeling okay, don't let it get away, it's a beautiful day. Feel so proud, screaming out loud, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. I used to feel sad, now I'm satisfied. I'd fall to pieces, now it's peace of mind. The words of my mother, they speak the truth. She always says, son, you make it through. I need you to just get up, take a deep breath, keep it together, 'cause it's a beautiful day. Sun in my face, feeling okay, well, don't let it get away, it's a beautiful day. Feel so proud, screaming out loud, it's a beautiful day. It's beautiful, it's a beautiful, beautiful day.
Oh, mercy, Lord, that was fantastic. I have never heard a Wookiee or Bob Ross sing that beautifully. You are seriously doing what some might describe as the Lord's work, spreading around goodness, mercy, and joy everywhere you find it. And hopefully all of our viewers can find you on multiple platforms, from Spotify, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and God knows what. Are you on LinkedIn? Because if you ain't, you should be. Somebody wants to hire you. Any final words that you'd like to share with your loving fan base?
Ooh, listen, think, and act.
There we go. What could be better than that? Ladies and gentlemen, this wraps up our session with the inimitable, the wonderful, the brilliant, and may I say beautiful, Rob Drabkin, singer-songwriter with all of his social media handles available for you. Tune in next week for our next Listen, Think, Act chat with a surprise artist that you have to tune in to find out who it is. Or maybe one day we'll be able to get multiple artists with Rob and other people at the same time, but the only way you'll find out is if you keep tuning in. Rob, take us out.
Ooh, it's a beautiful day. Sun on my face, feeling okay, don't let it get away, it's a beautiful day. Feel so proud, screaming out loud, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day.
That was amazing, and thank you. Listen,
Thank
think,
you,
act,
Andrew.
folks. Bye now.
And I stand by you, you stand by me.